you need to check with the
Em
Pauline.
chuẩn bị, dạ em chuẩn bị broadcast, thành ra mình bắt đầu mình chuẩn bị minimize, mình nói chuyện ở đây mình dùng chat nha chị nha.
Sorry.
Không sao chị.
Yeah, mình please turn off all the microphone, the organizer, please.
Tashidele Kampula. Em nghĩ mình admit mọi người chị ơi. Mình có đầy đủ thông dịch và các thầy rồi. Tashidele KHENCHEN Kampula Tuponla Lamala. Welcome everybody to this wonderful teaching. We're going to start the GONGCHIG teaching with KHENCHEN. So before we start, we will do the mandala offering.
Hoàn toàn giải thoát khỏi những ràng buộc của chân và huyễn, siêu vượt danh tự và các tướng của sinh, diệt và trụ, siêu vượt đến và đi, lấy và bỏ. Mandala tối thượng chính là cảnh giới tâm nguyên sơ. Con xin dâng cúng tất cả và qua đó nguyện con được gia hộ để đạt tới cảnh giới Phật. Completely liberated from the powers of real and unreal. Translating the names and attributes of arising, cessation and abiding, coming and going, affirmation and denial. The supreme mandala is the natural state. By offering it, may be I placed to attain the state of Buddhahood. Om Guru Deva Dakini Ratna Mandana Pratisha Sokha.
Sao qua lại và sờ bắt?
Đúng không?
Sanje Chodang Sojin Chonam La Chanchu Pardo Dane Jebun Che Dage Jinso Jimbe Chonam Dola Penchire Sanje Rumbar Jo Sanje Chodang Sojin Chonam La Chanchu Pardo Dane Jebun Dage Jinso Jimbe Chonam Je Dola Penchire Sanje Rumbar
Until awakening, I take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and Supreme Assembly. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings.
Ma nam ga dan nyam be sim chen tam chen dewa dan dewen ju dan dembran churun che dunga dan dunga jen ju dan chevra churus dunga me be dewa dan men churwa churun che nyeren cha dan nye dan churwe dan nyam la nebra churun che ma nam ga dan nyam Simchen tamchen dewa dan dewen judan dembra juru je dunga dan dunga je judan javaran juru dunga mebe dewa dan mendravara juru je nyeren chadan nyedan charve dan nyumla nebra juru je.
May all other sentient beings, boundless in the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion.
Chantse wadan jujin shabadan jizu yerang gurshin surwa ye gewa jungse dagi jisab tamche zobe chanchu chimburu.
Whatever slight virtues I have accumulated through prostration, offering, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and requesting, I dedicate it for the sake of complete enlightenment.
Sahajim buju jujim medo dhamma shirvalin shenye de jimbandi sanje shingla mide purvai drugun namda shendu jumbar shu kusu yungzo lame zonam lai chena sansun tejin yejin Dalu lonju nangsi yongxie la min choge zardu su women gurun dewa dragen rena menda la barde zaye sowa.
The ground is sprinkled with scented water and strewn with flowers. It is adorned with Meru, the supreme mountains, the four continents, and the sun and the moon as a Buddha field. I offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness of the Buddha field. To the lamas who possess the three fires, offer the outer, inner, and secret offerings. With my body, wealth, and all that is visible, please grant me the supreme realization, enlightenment.
Simje namje sambadhan loye jeda jedrava jejun tumo tebaye chuje gulo gurdu so.
Please turn the wheel of Dharma of the greater and lesser vehicle, and the teachings come unto both, according the dispositions and mental capacities of sentient beings.
Kanji kuruwe jansu jisaran shingara gawa le dhubran zebe gajurin buche jiva nambra tabe jinjen chenab je chujin jesu chimbe yendra se me sheche manam jache wa yunungwa lenje dribe dribje trima mebe lama tamba nung la chan zarjen chudo jebzun chewa shinje labran zedu so dojin chawan de lo naro da marmeda bakpa rinji tenga kodin sumden zawe lamesh Zaju lama yedam chuzong la survan devso da jushin je lo chen zenga da dunpa zo sanje kandur manga barden lam rashara tuji ranshin tarve lam dunpa yung zen shinye nam la gujan la dan lami meam je wangbo dan jarjin la zo chuje chola chawa cheba nam sanje songra rabdo shijin dewe jujurwa 대단 체제 담배 주님 바량들식시 남가다님 베슴제 탐제게 된도 도절라나 메브라양 타브로조 산지지 공부한 담바진의 정도 그렇자 대체도 담배 추유상물라 퇴바당 삼바 곰베고는 주버지고 냠베 삼바 찬춘초도 레브라산데 셈브르슈 텔란들 간식 셈브르 체베 추데 다담주 공바지 외중 어다 시월 체베 갑든데 지임바레
with the motivation, with the motivation of like to attain the Buddhahood in order to benefit all sentient beings as vast as the sky, and in order to receive the teachings of the GONGCHIGs and practicing and meditating the GONGCHIG teaching. So with this kind of meditation, kindly listen to the teaching.
다테네 남제 나저테네 추일라 단 주베갑 세브로와 갑숨로와 당부 퇴바 바르도 삼바 타마곰바스 퇴삼곰숨 세게로와 다티 인두자네 테네 디갑라 테네 뇌게 쩐숨 광고레스 남주송거로와 땅가랑초 추 룩사겐 뇌나신로와 추데 두즈다브레 tené durjite lu sege nö nanshin de ngarang chore ti indu zane nö de yabu chi yoba yina durjite cholan zhugo yo mare peti nanshin do ngarang choge ju de yabu chi yoba yina tené chu tegi ndewu jobu meya dang oda chu tela tené tené pende jachenbu toptuya o tené chi yungo yorwa ti indu zane chu korangi ngone yang taba chigdang zangma 어떤데 지레데 이내 나랑 쪽에 되는 주디 장마 마차와 있나더니야 주기 펜토용야 데스 갈레 카본 조지 용어에 송거로와 근데 인도 전에 되는 뇌기 쩐숨 세야지 방구레스는 송거요래 인도 전에 되는 쩐숨도 제일 마슈인
In order to listen to the teachings of Dharma, usually it talks there's a saying that talks about the three faults of the container. And whenever you listen to the teachings, we have to be free from these three faults. And like, for example, the teaching is like a nectar. The Dharma teaching is like a nectar. And even the teaching is like a nectar. If the container is not in a condition to receive the teachings, then it is not like a favorable condition to receive the teachings. So therefore, from here now, I'm going to talk about what are the three faults of the container.
다 되는 뇌기 쩐숨 사연도 전에 되네 추 년백값수 되는 리바 딤네 메냐와 뇌 카부바도 쩐 스타케 생각도 뇌지 여바이나 되는 두스지 루구요나 뇌데 마 법자바이나 디나라 디간마지 다 두스이나 리오마이나 카르루바이나야 뇌게나 티바지 용투마와 그 뇌데 마 법자바이나 디나 신전에 드네다단디 나와 메테바스 추기 식당 추기 되나 드니지 리바제지도 딤네 미님바서야지 너기 전 당부데 카부바다고 전서야 대인바래.
So the first fault is like when you listen to the teaching, not listening the teaching like with the attention or attentive. So what happened is whether it's a nectar or whether it's a nectar, Dharma nectar, or whether it's the milk, if you don't listen carefully with the attention, then it's like putting down the cup. In the same way, it doesn't matter how you pour the nectar or milk on the you pour on the cup, it will not contain in the cup because the cup is put upside down. So therefore, in the same way, if you have no attention for what you are listening to, then this would be the same causes of not having understanding whatever the nectar of teachings is given. Also.
다들 인디 준 숨가르데 남준 배차ትን 주나라 네 추일라 투바 집에가 준 숨스는 숨도와 다 단단년데네 종공 파모주베 숨만한 신신 슈인 대인도 전에 카부바세 그 전데 네 파모주베 가르숨거에서 는 것도 추일라 투바 집에 값수 너 카부바 난신 그 전데 방고레스 네 간데고레스나 너게 나라 주지 루구요나 너데야 카세네 딱 야고와 난신체네 먼저 출了투바 집에 값수 네 배지 나와대 조우 디도를 봐 년토같이 제고레스 대인도 전에 투백이 쭌너 카브바다고 투발라지는 소용구요래 파문주베.
So like there are like when we talked about the three kind of like the fault of listening to the Dharma teaching. So here I'm going to start quoting the Pamudupa's statements. And what he said was that, so when we are listening to the Dharma, we should always open our ears or open up for, in the same way that like a cup, which is open up and which is empty and open up to receive the whatever it is for in. So whatever the teachings is given, so if there's no like kind of attention, then it's not possible to have that teaching instead. Also.
되네 다 니바데 가서는 출라 다 당부 투 나도 추에도 투바 제바 잠지 팽이 말와 변나 맹게 되네 지 펜터 맹게 사당 맹게 라레 또는서 암초그 고네 하고 지부그 팽면도 대인도상 따대 하고 저베지는 현저베지라 가르고나 양내 양도 메제바 대 다동문에 지 맹사보 하고야라 삼농 망부 땅고로 디나신 전에 다 투바 제백이 된다 디도라 되는 삼농 땅고다 베나 텐줄 니에가와레스는 송연도 산에 추역에 나다 텐줄 니에가베 좀 세망부 송거로 다디 투여제베지라 되는 주 소소로 죽잖네 베나지 니에가당데 간데지네 주의도네 간데 니에가오렌도 되네지 다 텐조 간데지 텐줄 니에가베 토라 나도 삼식지고로 다서 고와 지부 팽마로 대인도 산에 다 니바데 갈고스나 삼바세르고로 줄라 퇴바 삼바스 다 삼베 값수 전 가르방고레 세두산에 너 샵드로 나신게 전에 방고레 송거레 너 샵드로 세두산에 너도 다 오만다고 지다야나 두선다고 지 루고요나 디 너데 샵네마 이홍매와 너데 빼지 전 가야매가지고 그러와 계세야 지 수르도 안에 이홍요나야 오마치로 된루레 두세치로 된루레 근데 샤는 있는데 배치 제야 말하고 정말 된루와 디나신 지류산에 tenenganzo chula samba chebe kapsu kargorasana yangne yangdo tengores ji juya yomares no shabdur ki chun nanjin de pangores temado dene amchona chu ko dene nima chingni jila ko je nangme tangsha bayina dene no shabdur de gu chun de cha somarwa de yin de zane yangne yangdo samne oya de chi de zane dene dande no shabdur de gu chun de sambe kapsu pangores 어떤 대신에 300의 쩐데 너 샵들었다고 그랬으나 손발에.
And the second fault is like we have to avoid like a kind of the container which has a hole below it. So what happens is when there is a hole below it, then whatever you pour in it, all will leak down and it will flow down. It will not contain. It will not protect the water or whatever there in this container. So therefore, it is given here during the time of the listening and during the time of contemplation. And the second one is during the time of contemplation. One should avoid the fault which has a hole on the container. and we should always reflect upon what is listened, what one has heard, and we should, in order to deepen the meaning of that, one have to think over, contemplate over it again and again, and try to furnish the teachings that we have. Otherwise, if you don't do that, and in the same way, like the container which is whole, doesn't matter how much you pour in that cup, everything will go away, strain away. So therefore, the second one is to avoid the container which is whole, the faults of that. La sola.
Tene sumba, ta jun sumba tere, jun sumba de karsana, nu tukchen tawe jun sumba re. Ta nu tukchen tawe sayin do zane, nu jeg nang la, kesi tuk ze jeng go do yun na, tu ze yu peke nu je ina. Ta di nang la, duzi luna yang thola re, oma luna yang thola re, kandar kala se, kandri da jeng pe shimbo kandri ji, yapo kandri ji lu jawa ina yang, ta nganzo saya la, peche pento mewa cha charwa ko tu tegi nuba la tene. Di indu zane, tene, chue la, gomba chibe kapsu, ta ndongo pama trebe, gomge kapsu sumba re. Gomge kapsu, du yubegi nu nanshi pangure sundu zane, kare sumba re sana, tene, ta tangbo tube tunda de sambe tunda de gom indu zane, tene, churang la yube, ngaransu susu la yube, nyemunge nyembo la tada nroto bachi sogu res. Mato pe, nyumunge nyembolan ro matu bayina churanchi gomba ina yate no du yebe nana kala lu jabana ji chanu res tichi du zane tene ko ji beta ya tombo chachen ge tawa gombe yona re yana jerem ge la gombe yona re yana tene tenjur nye ka wala sobo gombe yona kare yana yang kandar gomba te soso gu jule yebe nyumung pegi ta nyembolan ro tu bachi zogu res. Tene nyumong nyembola masongwa chene gomgi nyumong chere roya chola tuba chegi nyumong chere roya la soba chungsungwa yinam tene mapemba res tindu zane gombe kapsu nyumong nyembola tada andro tuwaji zogu res na te sumbare sumbatila.
So the third default is that one should try to avoid like that of the container, which is like contaminated with kind of poisons. And like if there is a kind of substance which are the poison in the cup, doesn't matter how much you pour the nectar or how well you put the milk in it, it is a kind of waste. So it's not helpful to drink, or it's not proper to drink. So this was actually put in the terms of the meditation. In the terms of meditation, when you're doing meditation, as per the Pamadupa stated that when you are doing meditation, so that time, whatever you practice, whatever you receive the teaching, first, you listen to the teaching, then after that you contemplate to the teachings, and after that, finally, when you do the meditations, whatever the meditation you're doing, it has to be directly opposing or directly going to strike your afflictive emotions or your ignorance. Otherwise, if it doesn't go it doesn't serve for the antidote to the emotions or ignorance, then it doesn't make any sense. Whether you are doing like a practice of Chaja Chamber, which is the highest practice, or kind of like a generation practice or visualization or whatever the meditational practice you do, you have to be free from this kind of like a fault, and whatever you practice should go directly striking your ignorant mind and to be purifying your ignorant minds. Otherwise, it is no use, like same as this kind of the container which has been contaminated with the poison or whatever. So therefore, whatever you do, the practice, then sometimes what happens is rather than clarifying or purifying your mind, you become more emotion, like afflictive emotion there, more anger or more like kind of aggressive, then it shows that it doesn't help. So therefore, we have to avoid this kind of container. So this means to help yourself more purifying, more stronger, more peaceful, and more on the path to the liberation. Lasoda.
뭐야 다드네 간다라 드네 줄라 투삼 곰숨 세야다 되게 숨게 qabla 네 전 넘버 숨보테 다 뽕고래 세드네 지 숨바래 대인도 되는 간소 지다 녀모모 뽕 세드는 레라고 셰야 레라고래 되네지 문에게 님보 땡도 전에 방야데 칼레 카보요로 가서 녀모바데 토마 매반에 건데요래 님보 던전은 간소 테스트에서 모두 고미요 말에 대인도다 강 두둑지네 되는 배준 전에 오다 너기 좀 숨당 trawachi 제고래 선한테지 송바래.
So then when we talk about the listening or putting the practice into the Dharma, so they said, when you're listening or contemplating or meditation or the practice, one should put these three kind of the practices into a day-to-day life practice. It is easy to say from the mouth, but when it comes to the practice, it is not that easy. It's not easy as what it easy to easy to do as it is said. But somehow, because of our previous lifetime, like infinite lifetime that we have been having, like a kind of we are actually have this kind of experience for many lifetimes. So therefore, it's a kind of our ignorant mind. So it's not easy to avoid for the time being, but somehow we should try our best. Up to which extent is that possible for us to do that? Masoda.
되는 간소 녀모 뽕야게 탑라 담 배전지 지gin이 삼겨요. 그래서는 동해 방고와 인상 대체도 전에 되는 녀모 뽕으로 치발라 되는 남중 가르송 거에서는 뒤쪽의 돈에 뒤의 돈에 녀모 뽕야게 님보 땡당 저다 쟁게 돈에 녀모 뽕야게 님보 땡당 되다 카 만다와 만다만부 송도 다른 건도 지 간디 돈에 탑람 간디 돈에 야도 따게 되는 뽕고 요래 대인도 전에 지단 가서는 녀모 바세야테 나도 줄에 쟁도 전에 되네 때문저지나 나도 제기와 하고문도 다지 니 토본저지 레비유나 다 배제 때문 슈침보 용게 레세야로지 레마도베 문에게 남준 지단 여백에 때문 등등 것도 제기유면 하고문도 이내 제대기로와 된도 때문에 하모고 통제 용거래 되는 되차다 샤단이 도지나 나랑서 로봇 진행이 반다고 진짜 제용거래 베나 샤단도지나 many pension 되는지 다 봐줘. 초반적으로 sure. 근데 용도 전에 다 나당 미신다 니보든 투 용도 전에 나기 잡라 시단들 내용을 그제 나라 로봇 진행이 만나신치는 시단들 내용을 아이네 시단들 제서비 질러서 받지고당 지근데 용고 말할 때 이나 유몽 시단 지진백가더라 두분 하신치는 제 용고요. 대인도 전에 대양 뭐 시한 디스칼레 가보다와 시단데 then the chandawana teleyan kale kaware then the jaagil lobe aryan debe sundo lobe ludugu somarwa the chan zamin zandawas the cha sayate churang tobo ngone marete ine jule cheyundu zane ngone ge tobo yabu imbana jina cheyungres odne sumbar ting zane nanzo nyomong cheyundu daji jigi yeba de ngoshin pe kale kaborowa 다 이나야 제데 이나야 되는 지 추라 퇴바나 삼바 곰바 사야다 텐데기 탑람게 좀발라 때네 퇴베 녀몽마 띠스 중고는 퇴바 삼베 델레야 녀몽바 슈체왕 고는 퇴바 곰베토네 녀몽바 때네 바드네 지 트로트바 지야다 텐데기 좀바 숨 되네 지 송용 거요와 어 대행도 전에 Tene Jidan Tachi Numon, Jayati, Belle Lawimba, Jigi Yuba, Hamogova, or that Tendation Yondu, then Tensogi Nimbola, and Chudda, and Gores, and Tejasunguro, and the Chudu Jumsendo, the Pesitenzo English.
So now when we talk about the three different kind of abandoning the faults of it's because of like how we try to avoid the afflictive emotions. There are many different kind of methods how we can avoid the afflictive emotions, sometimes through the like kind of listening to the teachings, and sometimes looking up to the condition of the causes and the conditions and so forth. Usually these are all in order to try to avoid the ignorant, attachment, and hatred. So usually when there comes an ignorant mind in ourselves, it is very difficult to understand. If it is very difficult to realize, like when you sleep, it comes like an ignorance, so forth. Like, for example, ignorance happens within oneself, arises within oneself without knowing how it happens. And at the same time, the attachment and hatred happens as if it comes to our support, like behaving like kind of supporting oneself. For example, if you're angry with somebody else, and the hatred comes to be like kind of supporting oneself in order to defend others or something like that. In this, though at the time of defending yourself with the hatred, it is not happy, but it seems like it works as a support for you. So it's difficult to understand or difficult to notice that it's an ignorant thing. And at the same time, the attachment is even more difficult to understand than compared to the hatred. So because what happened is here, the attachment comes as like a kind of a friendly or supportive or complementary to you or whatever. So for example, Aryadeva, he stated that the attachment comes as if friendly to you, being friend to you. So therefore it's very difficult to understand what are the ignorant and what are the things to be avoided. Therefore, there comes a three different categories how to avoid these kind of all these emotions and afflictive emotions or ignorance. First, listening to the teachings, and secondly, contemplating to it, and thirdly, how to eradicate from the root. Then we need a kind of meditation and so forth. It's not easy, how all the ignorance were coming up. It's very difficult to understand, but somehow with the contemplation of, with the listening, contemplation, and with the practice of meditation, it will be slowly, it's possible to eradicate this kind of ignorance. Lasu.
Tene tenajin ta nyumong jewe ki tusu ko thone ngo samo tang yu zane lobon arian de ka resong barsana pena nyima chige na cha cha wa ina ta chidang da pe ngiba temborang yo mar de na jiong ge chane nimu ge ngadu ge chanro ji na timu shu chengbu yong ya ge tusu res tende yinza ngadu ge chala timu le nyimbo ten ya de shu chewa nang go res na song yong do ba tene pena nime kung ta tendela jigdengi lega mambu jila shu yong du zane tene yang ji lega mambu tang samlo mambu tang yong du tendegi jen chebe tone tene shedang de shu chewa legres ta jigjana pese togo ton du zane shedang shu chewa yong gro wa ha de ji du zane kandar nime kung la shedang shu chimbo je ya tu su tende jigres ten du ningong ge chala zo nyomba shedang ge nyimbo de ta ji zoba saya de tenhala tablam mawa zogo res. Tene yanji chedu gumu ge kamdo jena nyomba chagbe ge samde jeya ge tusu shu chege res. Tende indu zane yanko tedan tumbe ndocha ge nimbola Then better check the catching bodies, what the somebody thing to Zane. I'm going to Nyamon or Jayagi to Kande Yimin, Tensoyan Nebetonian, Kunyimbusi Temba Yinam. Then I had this in Nyamon Kade Charto and Nyamon Payata, Nyamon Gonoya, Pento Shuchewa in Gruva. Benatane Yerkegi Tutula, and to Jag is written to Dapoya with Jagurua. Mato Kuncharwanda, which post Wayana, Yatula Changurua. Then I have Gunke come to Chin, go to the thing to Zane. Zamagi written to Dapoya with Jagurua. Tina Shinchene, Naranzu Juliube, Nyumongi, Nimbotela Yang, two Sungatonat and Shu Cheshungi, what a Nimbotayat and the Yungre, Sumbatin, that and so de Jang the Namjun, Tambu Shambachi, Shene, Teniaji Titola, this Tablam Doji lived to watch Wayna. Yaburuva, or thing that and the Jire.
Hello, the Yarkagi decided to Suma.
Yabuya with Jaguala, Jag.
Yeah,
Ja,
lost.
Kasana ko Tola Chanduron, Charbegi, Lambachana.
Lost course. So now here, like for example, how to like kind of facing the ignorant mind in terms of the time. And what it says is generally what the Lord Jigyalatsen stated is that like in the morning time, yes, Aryadeva stated that in the morning time, usually the ignorant mind is very powerful. So therefore one should focus how to avoid the ignorant mind, because you feel sleepy or whatever in the morning time is quite dizzy and something like that. But in the afternoon is like we should be careful about the hatred and anger. Why? Because in the afternoon with the many activities of many works, usually what happens is one easily get anger. And at the same time, it's sometimes we get hungry, and it's easily when we are hungry, a little bit hungry, it's easily, you get upset and angry. So therefore here in the afternoon time, it's more we should apply the kind of perseverance, patience is more needed in the afternoon. And whereas in the evening is more as like kind of attachment, because when the time when it becomes like in the evening, so usually what happens is attachment comes more in our like a human human experience. So therefore with the time we should able to put some strike to the ignorance or afflictive emotions. For example, in the summer, when the rainy season, we need to protect the iron stuff. What happens is if you keep away the iron stuff in the rainy season or in the rains or in the water, it will rust. And easily it may be damaged. But whereas in the winter time, like we should protect about the kind of the pottery things, which are made of pot, because of the cold and very kind of froze. The pottery thing will be easily damaged. Therefore, so we need to protect the pottery thing in the winter. In the same way, so with the three different kind of timings, or the duration or timing. So one should have to know how to apply for the ignorance and also for the attachment in the afternoon. Attachment in the evening and the heart rate in the afternoon. So this is how one should apply in terms of the time and duration. Last one.
That GONGCHIG tene dorsong de kasan tene dorsong dumba pato shurwa ta tene dorsong jebarwa dorje song jebare ta somsumbe nane dan dela kar song arasana tongye juye ma dongwa yu se song barwa dan de song ndu zane jidan tene nganzo ta kasan tene domba soso tarwa domba jula chul len ne yongdu zane domba korang ngo de kante chi re sung du zane zo karsana da chi ndushe sebrwa sambe rangsu yang sungre number ji mayimbe zu yang sungre ndona tene nga pena chi genyi in sambe gin dushe nga tene gelong in sambe gin dushe ta tende gin dushe de samsam 문세 되고 용그래 다양한 생은 이 국대에 감다고 지는 된대긴 두시 문주로 받아 요 말때 이나 고랑 뉴반다고 지 요대기 요 대인도 전에 강한데 된대지라 그 dom바스는 송바와 다 된다고 dom바데 아주 줄어서 톱네 파 동화 세로와 파 매와 차야 야대 간대래 송도 전에 되는 데라 제단 되는지 자기 중 텐선한도 양 송당 만다와 망보요래 근데 배역인 개발된 소양 지수로 만다고 망보래 팀도 카시에게 송도 전에 베나지 dom바데 되는 거죠 genyengi domandawochi dembe kansachi ina ta churang tene nima chigla magic se shawa ina tan tela tene churangi genyengi domba chasang mewa chandu re sonyandawo da tena shendo tene kesi churang tene tatandi ta genyenchi ina tenregi genyente tachi sanyi shenpunro du zane shenro du zane yang jule yuwe genyengi domba tan samang tongru re sonyandawo da tenre shene songda mandawa mangbo yuware 대인도 전에 지된 성공을 가르친 거였으나 다른데네 또 조대 가상 공도 돈바세야데 두시지게 돈에 조치는 로부 유도 전에 되는 문에기 300개 돈에 주랑 돈바데 바지 동야긴 대반저당 된대긴 대바슈 친부 돈에 되는 내가 논주당 된대기지 중앙이나 다 돈바도 동로를 마도베 제당 고지 심표송아 잠지 도마르나가 찬르고 말레스 근데 인자 다 domba 동에게 주스네 셰데야 tunzu 그냥 근데 강사라 제벌 용그레스 강사 카시에다 지금 삼로근 누바양 슈충종 근데 지금 dom바라야 귀잡당 dom바라야 남주 지 가서 지송 된대기 시다 맹경도 지나 근데 그 심표가 가서 동세바레스 대마도 문내게 dom바 송야근 되바여바 근데 지금 송에게 셈데 만년바이나 다 시베 같은 소가 있는데 dom바 동거 말해서야 대송거를 뒤인도 전에 동에 주의 뭐 동와야 요서야 대송
Now we come to the point that the 8 Vajra verses of the vital points of individual liberation. With the causes for losing the vow, it also heartens that they are not lost. So, like for example, last time we had talked about the how we receive the vows and what are the kind of the nature of the vows or the characteristic of the vows. So, for example, like kind of when we receive the vows of the Novik vows or whatever, and in the sleep, when we are sleeping, it is said that so our vows is there, but not in a kind of a very obvious manner, but in a very like in a lower, in a like kind of in a very embedded manner, our vows are there. And also usually in Tibet and also in Tibet and also in the Indian scholars have stated a different kind of the vows, how it is maintained and how it is avoided and how it is one dismiss how it is dismiss your vows and how you get into downfalls of the vows. So usually they say sometimes, like for example, if you dismiss the vows or you lose the vows when you die, or sometimes they said when you lose the vow, when you do the actions, the non-virtuous action or whatever. So whereas here, the Lord Jigten stated is that, so for example, unless and until if you have a heart from yourself, from the pure heart to protect your vows and to observe your vows, it doesn't matter even if you die or even if you die, or for example, even if you kill somebody else, being a kind of novice monk, if you kill somebody else, but you don't have a mind to kill that person, if somehow in the act it was killed. In the same way, like, when you die, it says you can lose your vows, but somehow the Lord Jigten stated that if you have really have a good heart to protect it, and at the same time, you really want to observe the vows, doesn't matter if you die also, you still maintain, still retain that vows. Therefore, it is stated that with the causes for losing the vows, it also happens that they are not lost. Lasso.
또 대야 되네 배는 뭐 산지 좀 된데 셰주베 갑라 근데 결혼 근데지 이렇게 투수지라 되네 차와 첨부 유베 갑지라 칠로라 되네 퇴자가 패 나와봐 근데 공 퇴라 패베기 바로라 네 공기 다지 점샤 아그나라 되네 두지 두두지 내지 인주송하래 되네 주연도 전에 공기 두두유와 하마원에 두두데 면 결혼기 니체오라 되네 주송하래 tene gelhong chilo ne thui jab chu nang phe yun du chane tene ta wol dru yo ba ha ma woni de gana ju yun du chane dru de la tes chi ta ne chen ro chi cha yo sarwa ti cha yun du chane dru gi tene gelhong so jam ne gelhong de so are de so du chane gelhong de hla yu la tene chewa len son du hla yu la chewa lang be kap su ta khong sim phe so arwa gelhong ne ba sim phe ne la chewa len so are yin ne yang khorang huma tene 메율라 gelhong 갑수 근데 배지 돈발라 쯔구르당 귀잡당 된대게 돈은 돈바들 배지 통 첨부치는 송대백이 되는 gelhong지 인두잔에 공 얘기 허율을 제대와 있나요 다동 허율라 gelhong 되는 진짜든 사마란신 그 좀네 gelhong 그거부터 지주 대백 링시던데 산적인 도변의 송용도와 대인두잔에 나랑서 빼나지 다지 제왕 노만에 단대기 제와서 양다다 단단의 제와 치마스는 것들이 제와 양는 양들 랜데 양데 먼저 간디토는 제와 랭고에서는 박차군의 제와 랭고여와 박차단 대와 슈침부래 박차단 대와 슈침부 요도 전에 가상 공도 고발룸 그르슴 그르스는 숨버와 박차기 룸 코르데기요 띠인디 메신 디나라 베나 게닝기 돈바텐데라 다지 문에 귀샵다 덴바 쯔구르다 덴바 디톤의 개념이 너무 양다고 송대바지나 내내바 심표백이 지와 치마다고 지라야 그 토리길로 된지 통배야 돼 땡케와래 토리길로 된게 땡도 양 드네 가서다 흐매기 박차기 원기 드네 개념이 응고 고랑신이 차대반로 지 차용구로 대인도 전에 된다는데 내지된 송공기 너무 동지기 주대 시와기 너무 동들이 숨기려래 이나 너무 동구 말에 스페나튼 소리에서는 같은 소통을 되는 대신하는 거요래
And the reason why Lord Jigten stated that is that, for example, during the time of Buddha, there is a story that there is one monk who went like during the time of that the Buddha, the monk who went out from his house, and when he come back, when he was out, somehow there came a snake and crept under his bed. And when this monk come back, so he disturbed that the snake, and somehow the snake bite to this monk, and this monk passed away. And even after he passed away, he was being born in the like a goat land, and because of his practice of maintaining the vows during the time of he was in the human realm, and also his respect to the vows and the practice or the preservation of the vows. because of that, he was being born in the, like a heaven realm, and even at the heaven, he was with the form of the like kind of the monks because of his respect and his, so forth. So therefore, it is stated that even if you are being born in the next life, even if you have a like kind of you have an imprint in your mind stream, then it will impact you for your, like, for example, a novice monks also, if you die, but if you will being born as in the like kind of the higher lane, and at the same time you will receive the like kind of the form, your form as similar to that of your what you have done in the past. So therefore, it clearly proves that it affects, and it goes on the gives the like kind of imprint to the next life. So this is how the Lord Jesus proved that with the causes of losing the vow, it also shows that it has not lost the vows. Still, you carry the vows. That means even if you die, you will not lose the vows because of having a respect for that.
Tene tegi je dorsong te dorsong gubade pambashine pula norchen sondo tande tanda kongi de kete da chibare kondo kasani kashe ge song ndu tsane da genhin ge domba ta song dewe kansa chegi tene yang ji shedan ge ton magic se simjen jin min ro ji se she ba yin tela tene tene genhin ge domba chasang dong ro re se ya tende yang song gen yore da dan dene ji den song go kare song go yore sana tende mares 가인 sana ngarang so gu ju la tene so je ba pang be gi domba majin ba lemba pang be gi domba me tsawa che be pang be gi domba ta tene gi dombe ri mang bu ji yu yu du sa ne tene ngang su gi non chu gi chawa chik che yin wa yin na pe na ge nyin che gi me ji se so wa yin na tene gi wang gi so je be gi domba de ta ji thola cha nyam cha cha so wa yin na yang de ma yin ba 메상와 제바 뽕 로임 뽕와당 대나신도 준 뽕와라 소베기 텐데기 차이 dom바데 줄레 덴데그레스 디도 전에 팜바지에서 와당도 팜바지에서인도 소제바 뽕 소주기 팜바 마진벨렘베 팜바 테네 로임 다 로임sana 야는 메상와 제바 다 게니데 게롱다 게스로이나 메상와 제바 세르와 테네 게니도 오지나 로임 세르와 대단 테네 준시야다 디제틀라 자와시 세르와 디인도 텐데기 팜바지보데 별은 노르진한신레 스타티 빼송게 빼가르송 버스는 메지기 초랑라 준노롱주야 여den게 양드네 메진다네 주 물텐데 야르샤와이나 초랑 별은야 윤케 고 사무직단은 주보래 콜라 잘란다면 강바요레 사차요레 신가요레 야 사무는 신다지는 당와이나 코 페이지 장본다고래 콜 물요 말 물데 메신다잖아 저 야르시요레 딘도 전에 별은야 윤케 준노롱주야 윤케 디나신레스 딘도 전에 소주바 뽕웨기 dom바데 타고 촐라차 송와이나 양 마진발렘바 뽕웨기 dom발라 소바디 줄레 덴디요레 스티인도 전에 팜바직 중앙에 dom바 차상되네와 책 말에 선 대송발에
Now the ninth verses. The four defeats are like a wealthy debtor. And what it stated is that, for example, in the same way, it talks about the four downfalls, four defeats or downfalls. Like, for example, if like a novice monk kills somebody else, or somehow there is a like kind of some scholars stated that all the vows that he accumulated were all lost, will be got lost or will vanish. But somehow it is stated that like sometimes when you get loss of the vow of the killing, by killing, then you still have retained the vows for the practicing, the preservation of the like kind of like not stealing and so on and so forth. For example, if you talk about the like a novice, then it is known as the the sexual misconduct. But if you talk about the monks and nuns, then it's known as the pure sex. So you lose the vows for that. And it is stated that even if you lose one vows for the killing, but you still hold the vows, retain the vows of like not stealing or like this. And it's something like, for example, if you are kind of a rich person, you have money, but somehow you have lent your money to somebody else. But it means it's stated that though you have money, because money is in somebody else's hand, so you don't have it. So therefore, in the same kind of this person who are a wealthy person, but who have money, but at the same time, the money is not in his hand. In the same way, the person who practiced, like even some vows were broken, but still he retained some kind of vows which related to some other like kind of not stealing or not telling lie or so forth. So it's like this, some kind of this, it is similar to this. So therefore, Lord Jiten Sungin stated that the 4 defeats are like a wealthy debtors. That's all.
Oh yeah, that ne de wala dursong no juba de na ji song de wi nyang de to song yan do. Ta de song de zan ne de gi khar song ge sana. Na zu nam jön yang sam no tong tang ji la khar yore sen du. Ta dong ba do ji shu gu yo na. Hön na sam no ya wo tang gu re se ya ji. Pen churan ge nyeng ge dong ba shu tu sa re ma ra ta mo sam no ya wo tang gu re. Jumsen karchen resana genhingi domba shu tsarwegi jela genhingi songja domba chachangji song matoba ina jik ni songja wegi kanyi pengi mara es tendu churantene ta song tumna chachang songgore song matumna jikda ni song wegi pendoke yung mara tendu genhingi domba majuna yagre es ya ta tendegi samloyan tang sigire tendayan lawayan sigirwa 다른 데는 지금 송거 가르 송거에서는 텐데 말에스 제다 되는 개니 개수를 개롱 간제지이나야 산제기 송자바다 배는 디 송고린 디 방자린 디 랑자에서 송자바 차창화지 송겐 송투야데 데스칼레 카보로와스 디 인듀잔에 드네 다지 당보고는 어당에 찍님으로 송금에 삼내 텐데치는 레는 되게 말이나 domba 렘베거서 당에 지금 오네게 개념의 송자 강이나 양 예술고 송자 강이나 양 개롱고 송자 강이나 양에 지 송기 삼백 근홍는 랭고레데 이는 무슨 송의 값수 저한테네 차창 송 마토바 제네 찍니지 송바 이나야 대개 양 타르투 산제게 공방토야 그 차투그레스 대소만 타지고 송은 되냐데스 단 디송도 자네 이제 담보면 되주는나
So now the verses. By keeping one vows, one will attain the result of nirvana. And what it states is that, like, for example, usually what happens in our society is that when you are receiving the vows, for example, the receiving the vows of novice, a lay or the monk novice, whatever, usually we have a saying that you should think carefully. Otherwise, if you don't practice well, it is no use, no point doing receiving the vows or taking the vows. It is of the mistake. So this is how you are refrain from receiving the vows and so forth. So therefore, what the Jitsu stated is that, so it should be not like this, because there is also the condition, the aspect, one aspect of protecting one vows. For example, if you couldn't observe all the vows, but somehow if you can observe one vows, for example, if you're receiving kind of for example, receiving the vows of novice monk or novice or novice monk, monks or nuns, whatever. But in the beginning, you take a very like a motivation of our practice is very well, but somehow by the time you change your mind, you cannot protect it well. But somehow, even if you lose one or two vows, but still you are able to maintain some other vows. So this is how even one aspect of protecting the vows, it is possible that one will attain the result of nirvana. That's all.
This one is an and some Karatango Rusana, Jeten Songongi, that Genyenge, Dombatau, Tapena. T Sonja Chik Chibu Mado, Shenda Songo Mare, Chik Chibu Somba Terangi, Sanje Goma Tom Dore, say Ticket Marinde. One a carre saying the Sane Chorantene, Chatamaji Somato by Yenayang, Tambuchuran, Negatia, which you song dance. 내가 찍디 양다바지 송도 좀 드니 갈래 내가 니 송도바 차용고요래 드니 숨 송도바 차용고요래 드니 이제 송도바 차용고요 타마드니 곰 고민도 전에 차상화지 송도바 차용고요래 대인도 전에 드니 대우 산제기 고모 톰로고요래 대인자 다 당보 찍 송바대고 산제기 주 차로도 산제기 주 차송을 그래서나 당보 찍 송도바도 마송와이나 드니 니 송도만도 드니 솜송도 말와 이제 송도 말와 대치도 전에 찍네 야 송도 전에 타마차 상황就송도와의 차 연결에 대인도 전에 드니 거지 소소그 누바도 뜨네 넘바는 거야 돼 개침 버레스 어때 송바래 빼는 간전 내려와 아 대기 신간도 보지를 빼셔와이나 제 포숨 소바지 제 제발라 좀 망분 좀 고르와 이나야 토마 저 당보도 가르고 신가지 고로 와나라. 로와 당봉하는 신가 답사기 신가지 고요. 이 신가기 저든 좀인도 전에 신가 될 때는 저랑 마음보다는 제 무슨 소바지 제약이 저 차투요 신가대. 가르서는 저랑 신가 유배 좀 전에 때네 되니 제게 사원지 도야는 배준지기래. 딘 제게 사원데 신가대는 답네 다 디도로 루야게 추직 배준지기래. 근데 디냠도 루야기 류징 배전 소용요래 디지도 전에 근데 신가 사분 추류 차상전 종용도 전에 나와 가시기 지라고 잼포슨 소바지 톱톱을 봐. 또 당보군의 신가다고 찍 매송아이나 파버도 신가대 매송아이나 근데 잼포슨 소바지 대야기 주진데 매송아래. 베티나신도 당보간서 내가 찍 양다바지 송 톱송아이나 근데 되게 돈에 니송 도바차 송송 도바차네 이제 산지 고마도 그래 제가 대송 말해
So now when we talk about the one will also able to attain the result of nirvana, we should think about this. The concept is that it doesn't actually means that by just observing one vows, you will be able to attain the nirvana or Buddhahood or whatever. But what it means here is that, for example, if you, in the beginning, if you protect one vows, then because of that, you would be able to preserve the other vows, the two. Then if you are able to practice the two, then with your capacity, then you would be able to do for the third vows. So therefore, gradually with your capacity, with your kind of like motion, you could be able to practice all the vows. So because of your practicing one vows, you are able to do the two. Because you're able to do the two vows perfectly, then you are able to do three. And after that, you go on for all the vows to be able to practice well. So in the same way, for example, like in order to have a very like kind of the rice, a good rice, good, the quality rice. First and foremost is we have to have the field where to grow the rice. So for example, if you don't have the field, then no point of thinking about whatever the like possibilities of the rice. If you have a field to grow the rice, then there's a possibility of, like looking for the seed. So if you look for the seed, if you have a seed in the field, then you'll gradually look for the water and, gradually look for the fertilizer. So if all these conditional factors were all conducive there, or, come together, gathered together, then after some months, it's possible that you will be able to get a good rice or whatever. So in the same way, this is how it was stated here in the kind of the 10th Vajra verses. By keeping one vow, one will attain the result of nirvana. Last one.
tene peche tanda dorsong chukji bada to sonata dorsong chukji bada ge kar song barasana jedana je kana manto ji song barada jedana je kana manto song do zane namjön tene dan durwe ge jung tensona la kar song barasana nipa tela ri ni she yong yore jebe kana manto wa se jigdang rangshin ge kana manto wa se ni song yong yore wa di indu zane tene pöge 개바 망체와지기 드네 더 자긴 개바양 요래 제베 칸만 도와서야 돼 제베 칸만 도와란 망생기 망부 요래데 이나게 제베 칸만 도 망체와데 가르스나 뺀나 난저 행동지 여바이나 꾸슈기 행동저지 여바이나 디 꾸슈기 행동데 송주비 야보 제약이 제도 칠로네 되는 간저 다지 자른다고 소리자와테 자른다고 소리자와이나 드니 딘데기 자르데 톨라 차와 지구기 행동 톨라 차이 말와 이네 자르데 매와이나 델라 때네 갈레 행동게 드니 행도 등도 꾸마 쇼리아 당 행도 등도 심진신게 산로야기 닌카데 연구요로와 띠인도 전에 제베 칸의 만토와 세야데 자르난신지 랑신게 칸의 만토와 세인도 전에 딱 문에기 디 나는 예배게 되는 행동 그 동본다고 지가 상담단에 드니 제바당 제베 칸의 만토와다 랑신게 칸의 만토와 세티니고데 냐 드니지 카가 인반도 드니 지가 대신한 연구요래 다 단단되는 지된 송고 가르 송고에서는 제베 칸의 만토와다 랑신 칸의 만토와 세야데 민카가레스 된다지바레스 빼는 안전 참참 디세기로와 다 벽에 돈을 쉬어이나 빠양 세기도 왕도 잠바 줄제네 조제바들 빠세기로와 양 농바 가시게 될 생양 세기도 띵드는 고 생당 쉬 야나 빠 근데 그 맹타대바지 그래데 된다고는 너도 대가랑 찌기만 안신도 제베 칸은 만도가 써야 된다 란신게 칸은 만도가 써야 돼 맹타대바 니 차용요레스 대마도베 되게 차네 군순이를 제발 찌어요 말에 니가 돼 디바 메게와 임바 찍바레 생대송 말에 제다란시 칸은 만도 지세야 돼
Now the 11 verses, they establish and the natural misdeeds are the same. So like what it talks about is like, for example, there are two different kind of the like kind of downfalls. That is, one is the established or the prescribed one. Like Buddha said, this has to be done, this has not be done, or something like that. And one is the natural misdeeds. So usually in Tibet, in those days, not only in Tibet, but also in India, so there are different concepts on these 2 points. Somehow many like scholars, they said that the one which is prescribed or established vows is like a kind of fencing for the plants or trees. And the one which is the natural misdeeds are the like kind of the trees. And these two, these two are the different in nature. But somehow Lord GYALTSEN stated that these two things are not other than each other. They are in different names or in different form maybe, but they are same thing. How? for example, if you're talking about the Tibetan, say about the pak means like kind of, the flower, which is molded together, or, this one. And sometimes it is known as the Zen. So both the pak and Zen means the same thing, though it has a different name. So therefore, in the same way, like the established or the natural misdeeds are actually the same thing. So this is what Lord Jigten would say here, state here.
타데네 도르송 중니 바테양 타데다 돈다 지바레 비동 타데 메지 지바 송도와 단 삼상감수 딕바세야 지여와 테난신 드르베 까바이는 동화세야 지지 레빙그와 테네 가시에 그 송인도 전에 딕바세야데 메게발라 코고레스 동화세야데 동화 카시에 메게와레 카시에 메게와 마레스 틴도 딕바다 동화니보데 카가 요레스 나송고요레 단 지된 송공기 딕바다 동화니보 대양 맹게 토네 딕바당 동화선은 다 맹니 따바레스 가인선은 딕바세야데 코란 주의 토네맹 따바레 동화세야데 제우 토네맹 따샤바레스 띵도 전에 거니 다지 맹딱서 선동당당 가게 토네 따샤바레 마도베 옌 된다기 전에 거니 제버려 마레스 가인선은 딕바세인데 제단한테 게와당 게웨긴 제울라 느바친게들 딕바세게레 로아 지 다단디 먼저 세생화당 롱주 제바당 나차 메발라 소원도지나 게베긴 제우로와 델 느바친게들라 딕바세게데 메게워레 다동화세인도 전에 덴데기 딕바텐데지 제제와이나 소제제와이나 마진발렌제와이나 디긴 제우들라 먼저 가완도고 이래서나 녜송게네라 동로요 틴도 동화세명 따버와 근데 인도 전에 디바도 동화세 아니고 들어야 타대요 말에 스콘존이 되는 지발에 서야 됐단 말에
The Vajra verse, the 12th Vajra verses stated that vice and the downfall are not different but the same. So like it is actually almost similar to the 11th Vajra verses. And what is stated here is like, Lord, there are some scholars who talks about differently about the non-virtues and the downfalls. So here in the Tibetan word, dikpa, which means like kind of, when they say it is in terms of not talking, about in terms of the causes, and the tuwa means downfall, means in terms of the consequences. So it's just a different name given in terms of causes and one in terms of the consequences. Rather than that, it's actually the same thing. Like, for example, sometimes people may like kind of like showing like kind of harm to other people. So this is known as the like kind of the dikpa, which means when it in the terms of the causes. But somehow, for example, if you are staying like a long life or whatever, if you're doing something good, then you will be being born as in like a fortunate lane, or if you're doing something bad, then you are being born as in an unfortunate lane. That means you are being born, or you're downfall, you go down. Like, for example, if you kill some sentient beings, and because of that, if you are being born in a lower lane, then it's a consequences there. So what the Lord Jigten stated is that it is just name, or which define in terms of the causes, and one which defines in the terms of the consequences, the cause and effect. So rather than that, there's nothing different. Both the downfall and the non-virtues are not different but the same thing. That's all.
Tene dorje son chusumba kaba yega nawa yinang la saya te tan din nenga chimbo jire nazo namjun kare samgere sana pena sanje gi tan durwa la so be nala dedan de rigde che chog mares dedan de rigde che gures ta tende gi kaba ta nawa nyungruwa yana ganzo dikwa chen mejashing kaba do dikwa ka nawa re gewan pusum chobar jesne gewan nawa dawa ta nganzo gar samgere sana namjun 산제기 까봐 산제기 나와서 전에 배제디 나와다 까봐니보다 산제기 죄샤wan다고 지금 상당히로 산제기 죄샤wan다고 지 띠인도 타는 데는 지된 송거 가르송거에서는 드르베나네 제 조금 말에서는 송이자베기 딸룽하게 메게베리 통도 상만한테 산제기 직봐 까네 데네데 제메조 차와던데 개 말레스 산제기 마송wen 흐네양 코랑 예가레스 니 예가세한데 코랑기 토네 가셔봐 메게와데 메게코 메게와 코랑기 뭐 토네 고 대외기 주인바 가지고 랑싱기 산제기 뭐 말했대 산제기 오다 대외기 주데 개와임바 저와 메게웨 둥해기 주데 디바 임바 산지기 죄자와 말해 가인스나 디바 메게와테 코랑 대외기 주임바테 예네 까셔와래 코랑 랑싱기 까바래 근데 인자 산지기 까바튼조 산지기 까셔와 말해 예가레스 디지그래 근데 나와 예낭 소인도 전에 산지기 제초구 말해 소야기 디바 메게웨 릭튼조 딱 개와 산지기 제 구그레 두 구그레소는 나왜 gewe rik tenso te koran dewa yongya gi ju yimbate yene naware te koran ju koran gi ngola yene ko dewe gi ju yimbare ma to pe sanje gi te dewe ju yimba zoje wat ne ke mare tindu kawa yeka nawa yena sene te songwe te ma do manzo mangbo ji gi kar samge resna sanje gi chu se chulo se chu se ya ji ngro nangbe gi chu se ya te sanje gi zoje wan ro ji 로 산제 계시 텐데진에 지 추의 마송원이나 배제 드네 추 권한게 내당데 근데 많이 배송으로지 왜냐 추의 담제가 아직 동반이래서 시행도 전에 산제기 동인 레시 잡네 동이 차송한 난심마도 딩흥라 동이 많이 배송으로지 근데 삼당으로 때 말레스 딩도 가바 예가레 나와 예낭레 스테송바레
Now the 13th Vajra verses, when it comes to the 13 Vajra verses, the prohibitions are always prohibited and the permissions are always permitted. Now this is very important for the part here in this point. And what it means is that usually when we talk about the vows and the prohibited of the what is to be done and what is not to be done. So usually we think about these are all created by the Buddha. Something like, before Buddha, it was not happening. Or after Buddha, it was all invented by the Buddha, that all, like non-virtues should be abandoned and all the virtues should be practiced and accumulated. And all the virtues, which is the causes for the kind of happiness, peace, and so forth, are actually invented by the Buddha, and the causes for that are invented by the Buddha, and also the one for the non-virtuous action, and it's are all invented by the Buddha. So it's like, for example, we talk about the Buddha Dhamma. So we think about kind of, all these kind of like prescribed prohibition of all this vow, or the protection of all this vow are actually invented by the Buddha. But whereas it's not something like that. What Lord Jigten Sungil stated is that even before coming the Buddha, the one which is down from or the non-virtues is always the non-virtues. And one which is permissible and, it's accounted for the practice. It's always there for the practice. It's not that Buddha came and Buddha make it. It's not something like that. For example, when we talk about it, because of it's the Sanjay, it's the Buddha's teaching. So, and it's just made, invented by the Buddha. It is not something like that. And also when we talk about the emptiness, like emptiness because of the Buddha, so we have like invented, or we have come to the now thing talking about emptiness. It's not something like that. So emptiness and all these kind of things are already there. The virtues and non-virtues are already there. It's always non-virtues. It is always the kind of virtues. If that is virtues, all the time it's virtues. If it is non-virtues, all the time it's non-virtues. But somehow here, what Buddha did was, Buddha just discover the reality of the virtues and non-virtues. And that's how he just display, or he just like kind of show to the other sentence base. That's the reality or the nature of reality. So this is how it is stated in the virtual releases. The prohibited are always prohibited, and the permissions are always permitted. Last one.
Penang anzo 내려와다 등산로 지나 anzo 디 진이 깔보 다 진이 깔보 릭든도 싸워 있는 pen 누그레 생데 얘기를 왔던다. 다들 문에 어제 제 심주 제도서는 zu불배 누유베 좀생 문에 유대와 지로와 제데 이나야 테고 좀생된 데시 맞아본 흔라 진이 깔보 간솔 누유와 하마우ben 흔라양 그런 진이 되기 먼저 지금 망보 싸워 있는 되게 누유와 고랑신로 와대. 마도베 되게 누기유바 하고 드니 이제는 제세 잡에기 제라 이제네 네바 칭켄시 차왔는데 개말와 그 당부군에 주불로 그 네베 모라 주대반로지 세브로다 네베 모지 인대반로로 어디나진 체인두산에 단단데네양 개와당 디바세야기 니보데 그 랑신기 나란솔라 네베 리임바지 랑신기 나랑솔라 펜베게 리임 같은데 니 인도 전에 드니 예가 예낭서야 드니 지 총화의 띠인도 때 산재긴 첸네 드니 산재긴 나랑솔은 레시에 나와래 인도 가생한도 공도 쉬운 바 산재의 제바보 말에서 산재의 뜸바보레에서 시 쉬운 바 어디인도 다 산재의 까바보 말에 산재의 나와보 말에 인도 코란 까바당 나와데 레시에 난게 산재래 o tinza ne kawaye ga nawaye na sinte sumbare.
And for example here, when we talk about the white sugar, usually the harmness of the things with the substance there in the white sugar is always there. And for example, if you don't know there is a harmness in the white sugar, and after you eating that, or after you using the white sugar, and after sometimes when you feel that, you came to know that there is a substance which can harm your like health, and it proves that it is not that after you using the sugar, the harm came. Actually, the substance for the harming is always there before you eat the sugar, already there in the sugar. In the same way, the virtues and non-virtues, like for example, with the virtues, which is helpful, and with the non-virtues, which is harmful to you, is not invented by the Buddha. And Buddha is not a creator, like kind of as we have stated last time. Like for example, Buddha is not someone who is there to prohibit you not to do this, not to do that, or who is not the someone who is there to ascribe you to do, ascribe you to do this and that one. So what he did was he just came to realize the nature of reality and try to share the understanding of the reality. So that's how he was just sharing his knowledge, not that he is supposed to be like kind of inventing or creating the objection, or putting like kind of opposing you not to do this or that, but he is just in a state of revealing the truth. That's one. Second one,
다 되네 디지라 도선 주비지바데 최지절본 로와지라제 송도와 다 최지절보스도 산지 좀 된대래 근데 인도 다 탄다 공도 까바 예가 나와 예나인 베줌생아 때네 근데 산지 좀 된대기 양지 디범 매지 게워두 세야기 제바지 나와와 팀지 사시엔 나와와 된도 사시엔 나와 대양 베나 남바지불로 송제반도 마임바 야나테네 자와당 주마지불로 송제와도 마임바 도나 추란테네지 내가기 대와당 타르투기 대완 된켄지 인네 송데 테네 추란조 디두고레 디빵고레 스네 산지게 송베 추데 심진 찔러 송베기 추지레 마도베 남바 겔러 송베기 추지 마레 스네 송바르와 다 계시 산지게 송바데 줍데 마줍라이데 게자 카가레 칼라 냥켄유나 두그레 산지게 송베 칼라 냥켄메나 두구마와 딘데다 줍데 마줍세야 되고 dumken게 칸상은 라레기와 산지 고랑게 문에 녜드네지 녜드네 제순 종ken게 자와당 주마당 다 메자 든솔랭에 디 추리 시기 젠다게 치르 민스는 산지게 예와 자와네 체요 말에 딘도 자네 tene chuji jergon rowa chile jesene gewa pang dugore diba pang gore sene tendegi sanjege ta ndona chuge pongbo jeche shidong kare songba inaya tamchile de tene lam chinjilo ba pangwar cheba lam yangda ba dubra chebegi ta tendegi chuge temba indu zane ote tene simche tamchile tene songjebe chuji res de madobe gergi chuge tene ke mare sene songbare
Now the 14th Vajra verses, it said that the king of Dharma established the Vinaya for beings in general. So usually we think that, like for example, if it is prescribed, it's always prescribed, and it is ascribed, it's always ascribed, or it's objected, or it's, prohibited, then it's always prohibited. Because of that, the Buddha have given the teachings, or Buddha has given the teachings. So what the Buddha stated is that it is actually not only for the Buddhist practitioner, because it depends upon if you really want a peace or happiness for the like kind of temporal peace and happiness, or the ultimate peace and happiness. So it is a question of whether you want the ultimate peace and happiness, or the like kind of whether you need it's not a question of whether you are Buddhist or non-Buddhist or whatever. It doesn't make sense here. So what Buddha said is, like for example, if whoever practice, even if he or she is not a Buddhist, doesn't matter. The fruit will be accomplished if you listen to the Buddha and if you practice what he said. And if you go through the path, then it is definitely, we are bound to accomplish the result. But when the Buddha gives the teaching, it's not just for the monks and nuns and who listen to the Buddha, but also for all sentient beings, because all sentient beings have kind of whoever wishes. So therefore, Buddha never make any demarcations, like this is only for the one who listen to me or monks or nuns. But it is a natural phenomena. It is a natural reality that all sentient beings, whoever practice that, could be able to receive the benefits from it. So therefore, it is stated that the king of Dharma established Vinaya for beings in general. Lasola.
Yeah. That in be Jim Sengi. That got Dorji song Tambo to Jim Senchine, Niba to Jagurata. That and the Sanji song be Chude, Rovachilla song by him be Jim Sena Tene. Then the Dorji song Jonga by the Jurupa Niti Chongare. Kasana, Rova Kangin Dejang, Nivatang, song a pain and a Kunan Jong, song the other song Nige. Then they do, then Rova Redu Sugi in a young. Tene Jundegi, Rawalen Deba. Penachurang Megewa Cheva Ina, Roa, Sanjegida, Megewa Chia Mare, Megewa Chenatin, Dew Dunghedang, that in the younger days, Neko Jundregi, Namjachi Song, Dusana Kesi, telling Deva Ina, Tela, Sulaina, good non true younger days, Roa Kangin Dejang, Nivan Jungres, Telechon younger days, Tela Dunghe younger days, Mixegit Niji, Kashe non true chena, Diba Meonwa, Niba Meonwa. Kashegi niva tis jana yan devu chimbo yung yatende ke yo mares judan devu sayatela jundela ngo zange yo marda so men devu china ya jikte se ngo shimba tanzola yabo cheya ta ngo meshe bala yabo meje watende yungurwa tena je bana tundron devu china tende dawa tundro koran group jigwa ina soba jigwa ina jigjil roba cheya soba ka ina jigjil neba cheya tende yungurwa ina junde sayatela te yo mare tendu tene roba kangi de niba yungres. Tene kesi yang su songwa yana sanje ki songba nanshin chene jita megewa chu pangwe ki gewa chu drumne tente ki chi timde yang taba jo song deba yana mila yana ya penyon togre tondro yana ya penyon togre di penyon tela chebarzi kege mares songwa penyon yana kunan jung saya te songbare.
Hello.
Hello.
Singing Kimchi.
Rodula sonda.
Oh, the Shugudi Tes Goma Sonda.
Lasala Tibare Kasana. The Sanjegi Songbasana and Junde Korang Netan the Mangarwa, Suitane Lalen Yabuchevan Telepeon Yungres, Suitane Raval and Deson, Niva Yungres, et Terwala.
So now the 15 and 16 verses actually they define the 14 then 14 and the 13 verses which describe about the 14 and 13 verses, and what it states is like, for example, whichever being transgressed the general Vinaya is at fault, then for example doesn't matter whether you're Buddhist or whether you're not, or whether you're animal or whatever. If you commit the mistakes, if you make the mistake, then you are bound to face the results, which is the problematic, or which is the problem or the suffering. So in the same way, if you cultivate the causes of which is beneficial, or virtues or whatever, you are bound to face you are bound to receive the result, favorable results. So whatever it is being, for example, if you are keeping vows, or therefore, like if you keep a vows as stated by the Buddha, then there is a beneficial, whether you're human, whether you're not human, animal, or whatever, it doesn't matter. So therefore, it is stated that in the 15, whichever being transgressed the general Vinaya is at fault, and at the same time, the benefits of keeping vows also occur for everybody. It is same. Last one.
Tene take jela 드로송 줍된 바래 때나 초가라바 칼체라 송도 다디 송도 전에 양 강테네 수수는 평양 용그레 송도 다 텐데 이나 나도 메세기 게닝기 dom바슈야 게술고 dom바슈야 텐데 제고서 말와 타고랑 신기 메게와 빵 게와 주드되는 디로와 세사무지 용도와 양테 가서는 제된 송도 텐데 말레스 나도 산지게 템발아야 슈네 지기다 라마 게웨신이도 지근되는 dom바슈 초가 라렌라 때문에 돈바치 슈바이나 양티페 개침부레스 간여서는 가서 랑신기 개와 줍데발레 담자직제 켈렌지 제바이나 델라테는 가서 개와디 슈 채워 줍도로와 당에 텐데 담자 제 차인다 서는 고sem나 전소지 레기로와 다 담자 마제바이나 양고 개와지 줍더 줍초그레데 이나야 당가 담자는 개 제메 드랭 개 마둠나인 디그레스만로 텐데 로체스기로와 티인두산에 산제게 템발아야 슈네 테네지 게닝기 돈바이나에 게술고 돈바이나에 돈바카레 이나 텐조 슈야게 초 같은 졸로 때네 테네 돈바 소야데 베케 침부레 세 대송바레
In the 17 Vajra verses, for the Vinaya teachings, the ritual is especially important. So usually what happens here is that sometimes if it is same for everybody to practice and the same result, everybody gains then. So what is the point of having all this kind of ritual or the practice of receiving the method of receiving the vows and so forth is not required. And if somebody say this one, then the Lord Jesus will say that no, it is not like this. It is important to have the ritual, and which is very especially important. The reason why is, for example, if you practice, through the rituals, through the method and practice, if you receive the vows and if you make a commitment, then there is a strong sense of putting your effort there. You're giving like a chance of giving the effort there, and at the same time, it will refrain you from committing non-virtuous actions. Why? Because in your mind, in the core of your heart, there is something which pulls you back by thinking that, oh, I have took the vows, I've taken the promise, so I have to do that. It's not good to just be easy. So for example, if you didn't take the vows, then what usually we think is, oh, I didn't take the vow, it's okay, I can do relax, or I can take it easy. So therefore, in order to not to have this kind of condition, this kind of incidents or conditions. So therefore, when you take the vows of the novice or the novice monk or the whatever, so it is good to have the commitment or the promise through the doing the practice or through cultivating the the methods of doing all this. And therefore, the Vinaya teaching, the ritual is especially very important. That's all.
앞에지 드린 건 눈에 자기는 로라
That's all.
너와 땡그 드린 데는 참샤 네 배치지마 리노서인데
That's all. So now we'll stop here. Then rest of that we'll do the next session. So now we do the the closing prayers.
유소남데 탐제세바니 톰네 니베다나 범제데 제가 난제 발롱 추바에 세벤 솔 로완 조 라마 건가마 상와라 소르완데 조도 구체르와라 소르와 텔레 다르젠 제바라 소르완데 라마 단다와 메바라 젠젤로 잠브람바위 치드란 쳔바 근도 상고 대양 대젠데 된다 근제 주소 나로 개완데다 제람도 호이 상제 고선 예베 젠라단 주니 men주 뱀베 젠라 겐데 메제 젠라 제드랑 호이 Malam Dumba Sho Dadang Konde Tham Jeje Dusum De Saba Tham Ye Geve Zawan De Dadang Simchen Tham Je Nyurdo Lana Mep Yang Tabara Zobe Chanchu Rinpo Je Tobara Chunje Shija Gunze Gunchin Chuji 天之内老王土之公巴人间不界定不生的协助推生公本人主人之长久生出人不界马界半解决了解吧娘吧没吧呀公内公的没玩说拉索 하여튼 말에 되는 것도 늘하지만 제용.
Thank you, Khenpola.
So see you next week. See you all next week.
Thank you, Khenchen La. Thank you for your wonderful teaching today. And also thank you, Khenpola, Lama Kunchok, Rocco, Susu, Alex, Victoria, Sonam, for your wonderful translation into English, Chinese, Vietnamese, Russian, Spanish, and German. Thank you very much. And we'll see you on next session tomorrow. Oh no, sorry.
Next week. Next week.
Next week. Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
today's Monday. Sorry, my busy schedule next week.
Thank you, Khenchen. Thank you,
So-
Rinpoche.
In the duck interpreters
Thank
to
you, everyone.
everyone. Can you end interpreter?
Thank you, Rinpoche and Khenpola.
For everyone's participation, and thank you to the team and to all the translators. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank
Khenpola.
you, Rinpoche.
Thank
Thank
Thank you so much,
nhiều lắm.
Rinpoche
Số tịch
La,
tuyệt vời.
Khenpola.
Susu
Thank you all. Thank you so much for the teachings. So profound teachings. Thank you so much.
Cảm ơn chị Susu. Cảm ơn ban tổ chức.
Mhm.
Okay, bye-bye.